What's funny about Silicon Valley?
Oh, come on. I mean, it's such rubbish. I mean, the idea that you're making software for sending email spam, but you talk about being lovable and changing the world and how you're on this mission and you save people's lives. I mean, that's ridiculous.
But certainly not all of Silicon Valley, right?
No,
They are, to a degree, changing. There are people who are changing the world. There are people impacting positive change. There's so many interesting, funny little anecdotes you have. Can you share with us some of the absurdities of working at this startup?
One is that when I first joined, I found out that they called it graduation when they fired somebody. And people got fired all the time because they hired very badly, and then of course they ended up firing. So just calling it graduation was crazy to me. And you get these emails that said like, hey everybody, just want you to know that Derek has graduated and we're all super excited to see what he's going to do with his superpowers on his next big rock star adventure. You'd be like, dude, you fired that guy, you know? And then you'd look over and you'd see like his desk is empty, his stuff is gone, and you didn't even know he was leaving because he never told anybody.
You talk a lot about this cult mentality that was at this startup. Do you think that translates to other startups, or was this a specific one?
No, they all talk about drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, you hear this phrase, culture fit, which gets used a lot. And now the new thing in Silicon Valley is they use this a lot, which is like, I like to hire people that I want to go have a beer with. It's like, well, that's a really stupid reason to hire someone. Like, you know, hospitals don't hire doctors because they're like, I'd really like to have a beer with that dude. You know, like that's not how you hire people, right? But culture fit becomes really this euphemism for lack of diversity. So you get like, you know, young white people hiring other young white people because they're like people I want to hang out with. And like and you looked at this place, it was like not even all white people, but all one kind of white people, like just a very narrow slice of the white population.
Something you mentioned throughout the book, and you kind of joke about, is kind of the ageism of Silicon Valley. Do you think that Silicon Valley is ageist? It's against...
Oh my God, of course it is. With racism and sexism, they at least pretend like they'll put out a report every year and we're going to try to do better, and you know, but they still don't have any, you know, people in those categories. But with ageism, they're just open about it. VCs want to invest in young guys.
We're at a point where people for so long have glorified startups, right? And these dreams and these missions and changing the world. And something your book does is break that down in a way. Why now are we beginning to see this shift in mindset?
Well, I think it brought on its own backlash, right? Because there was such a sort of a blow up of that culture, such a worship of that culture. And the VCs wanted to come up with this heroic myth that they're not going to take some job at some big company. They want to strike out and control their destiny, and it's going to be exciting and adventurous, right? So there was a lot of vested interest in creating this mythology around heroic entrepreneurs and startups. And I think they went so overboard with it that, of course, some people kind of recoiled at that and said, wait a minute, that's disgusting and that's so false, that I think Silicon Valley, the show, was responding to that. I think my book is responding to that and saying, let's take a more jaundiced look at that.